Welcome to No Apologies on Beck, where we are unafraid to speak the truth. I am your host, Rick Becker. Tonight, our co-host, once again, not Representative, Senator Andrea Toman. No, Andrea Toman, who has a show, Ladies of Another View, which airs on this channel at 4:30 p.m.
Quit trying to demote me.
I don't want to make you a hated person like legislators frequently are. So, alrighty. So, I think last night we had fun. We're gonna have fun again now.
Absolutely.
And it's an array of things we're gonna hit tonight. One of which is an executive order. Actually, two executive orders from Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. And Lori and I go through those. There are so many, and we kind of break them down for the viewer. And so we're going to cover those, and I'll have you give me your thoughts as we're running along, because I think there's some interesting things. And you've got some good stuff from Charlie Kirk, who visited us last week.
I'm excited for that.
Yes? Or was it this week?
That was Monday of this week.
It was Monday.
Yep.
Wow, time flies. Okay. Alrighty, ready. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, off the cuff. That's going to be interesting.
Oh, you guys, I am so excited. I am inviting Rick into my homeschool classroom for some history discussion.
It's going to be, I don't know, I'm nervous on that. All right, so.
He'll be fine.
So Andre, let's talk about Biden's executive order, okay? This is, it's called, let's go ahead and pull up the graphic. The executive order on blocking property with respect to the Burma situation. The situation in Burma. So it states that the situation in and in relation to Burma, and in particular the 2021 coup, constitutes an unusual and extraordinary threat to the national security and foreign policy of the United States. So, I wasn't really aware of it. I heard there was a little something going on. I'm not sure how it is
a coup in Burma.
There's a coup in Burma. I'm not sure how it's an extraordinary threat to the United States.
Sure.
Now, Russia, China, the southern border.
It's always those resources. I think that's what it's always about. Whenever we're trying to meddle in foreign affairs, it's almost always we want something.
Oh, there's got to be something.
There's got to be something.
And you said resources. I don't know about Burma too much. I don't know. Do they have specific resources, or is that just one possibility you're saying?
Well, I'm gonna go with that's one possibility.
Okay. Well, I figure it could very well be resources, which is common, or it could be guys that are in power that are being manipulated to do whatever. They didn't do what the United States wanted, so now the United States are, you're as conspiracy or more than I am, but that commonly is the case, so I would not be surprised. But so it might be somewhat of a stretch, but let's go on. Let's go to the next graphic here. In this executive order, they break it down. Now, what they're doing again is they're freezing property, and so it says any foreign person determined by the Secretary of the Treasury in consultation with Secretary of State to be responsible for or complicit in or have directly or indirectly engaged or attempted to engage in any of the following. Then they break it down. The first thing on the docket is if they're engaged in any actions or policies that undermine democratic processes or institutions in Burma. Now, I'm trying to think of some examples of that. So, for instance, if, let's just say, for instance, there were congressmen that were lying under oath to impeach a sitting president, that would probably fall under that category, actions that undermine democratic processes, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely.
Election fraud?
Absolutely.
So I guess we can relate. Perhaps a sitting president conducting surveillance on a presidential candidate? That would possibly fall into that category. So I'm getting a sense of the kettle calling the pot black, or is the pot calling the kettle black? I don't know. It
does sound an awful lot like they're calling Burma out for the things that they themselves are guilty of.
Yes,
oh,
I think so.
I think they call that, there's a term for that. Is it projection?
Well, and yes, this administration and the leftists are wonderful at projection. So again, folks, all assets are frozen. Can't conduct any business. You can't get your money. If it's, I'm not saying they should. We just don't know. It's just ironic and perhaps hypocritical to be calling them out on the stuff that you yourself are doing. Let's go to the next graphic. Another reason to hold people's property and freeze their money would be if they engage in actions or policies that threaten the peace, security, or stability of Burma. So again, I'm trying to think of examples, like BLM riots, for example.
Sure.
That might be.
Mm-hmm. Threaten peace and security, for sure.
It's possible. When
threatening a jury.
Threatening a jury.
Mm-hmm.
Antifa trying to burn down federal buildings.
Oh yes, definitely. That would, for sure.
Okay, so I guess we do understand what's going on, and we just don't want people in Burma to do that in Burma.
No. It's no good when they do it.
It's okay for people to do it in the United States, but not the people of Burma doing it in Burma. Let's throw up another one. For anyone that's engaged in actions or policies that prohibit, limit, or penalize the exercise of freedom of expression or assembly by people in Burma, or that limit access to print, online, or broadcast media in Burma.
Really?
So, for instance, that would maybe include, like, if you said that you can't go to church or can't go to restaurants, can't freely assemble or congregate.
Sure. Or if you were to say that certain people's faces or voices are not welcome on your particular platform or social media.
Yes, getting banned from a massively distributed media platform. Mm-hmm. That would be...
Or several massively distributed media platforms.
That would be a reason to have all of your assets frozen.
Yes, as a country.
If you're in Burma.
If you're in Burma.
Not in the United States.
In the United States.
No. They also include if you if you have been a leader or official, any leader or official, whatever that means, in Burma after February 2nd, 2021.
Oh.
So we are determining that every single person who is a leader or official over there will have their assets frozen as well.
That's really blanket. Like just everybody who had any kind of office.
You have to understand, too, that we've gone through...
Or was a leader.
Well,
what's a leader? Or was a leader. They're on the no list.
It's a little subjective. But Biden's executive orders are replete with examples of anything that happened, and they'll generally pick January 20th, 2021, because that's when the Trump presidency ended. Anything that happened before that is undone, that kind of stuff. So they love these dates. So here they picked a date. Anyone who's a leader or official, you get your money frozen. So they are definitely trying to hurt Burma. And again, I have no idea. I didn't follow it. The coup, maybe they're really bad people. I have no idea. I just don't know that it actually is an existential threat to the United States.
Right. That it impacts us in any particularly direct way.
Yeah. I don't see it. Oh, thank you. The unrestricted, this is another reason, right? So the unrestricted immigrant and non-immigrant entry into the United States of non-citizens determined to meet one or more of the criteria of this order would be detrimental to the interests of the United States, and the entry of such person into the United States as immigrants or non-immigrants, all of that is suspended. And so what they're doing is closing the border to the Burmese.
Those would be political refugees.
Well, it would be...
If they're essentially under attack from both the United States and probably Burma.
If they were consistent in their what they claim, this isn't racist. Now, if they suspended and the order and didn't allow people to come in from another country, then that would be racist. Or if Trump did it.
Sure.
But essentially, what we're doing is saying from the South, that border's open. And if you want to close things down, if you want to stop terrorists from coming in, you're racist.
Right.
But if you're from Burma, no come.
Not here. What?
But if you're from Nicaragua, come on in. We don't need to see anything. We don't need to do a COVID test. Just come on in. It's all about politics. It's always all about politics. I don't know. I feel sorry if you're a Burmese refugee because you're out of luck here. I guess you got to go to Canada.
Good luck.
Yeah. Anyway, that's that executive order. oddly interesting one to me because I just don't think Burma is really impactful to us at the moment, but it does give us more insight into the president and his administration. Stick with us. We are going to be right back talking about Charlie Kirk and his recent visit.
When you can't find answers to your recurring health challenges, it can feel like your health and your future are being held hostage. The Wellness Way is a network of health restoration clinics that think and act differently to solve the health challenges others can't. Here, we disrupt the standard approach to care through a combination of testing, individual plans, and one-on-one guidance, putting your health and your future where they belong, in your own hands.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
It's every American's right to bear arms. At Mandan Sporting Goods, we're here to help you support your Second Amendment rights, which reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Whether you're looking for a pistol for personal defense or collector gun, we have the staff to help you. We also have the area's largest inventory of ammo and reloading supplies.
Mandan Sporting Goods, the area's local gun and ammo specialists.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Every great pizza has a secret. At New York To Go, that secret lies in our perfectly recreated New York water, the key ingredient to making our signature New York-style pizza. We also feature gyros, with the region's only gyro meat spit, plus Nathan's hot dogs, calzones, and our delicious jumbo buffalo wings. Try a 14-inch or our special giant 20-inch pizza tonight. You gotta know how to fold them if you want to hold them. New York To Go, we deliver for you.
Hey Bucks fans, if you're planning an outing, birthday, or employee appreciation night, then bring your group out to the Buck Stop for a night of fast-paced, high-scoring football. Your group will receive discounted tickets, options for reserved seating, scoreboard messages, VIP services, swag, and a space to gather during the game. You can also participate in pre-game ceremonies, halftime entertainment, in-game contests, and more. Call 701-595-0771 or visit bismarckbucks.com/tickets. All GA is first come, first serve. We'll see you on the turf. Go Bucks!
You're back. It's No Apologies, and it's on back. And so that was a good executive order. We have the Charlie Kirk visit.
Yes.
Andrea, tell us just a little bit who Charlie Kirk is and about the event, and then we'll talk.
Yeah, sure. Charlie Kirk's the founder of Turning Point USA, and he primarily tours the United States, forms student groups on college campuses in an attempt to further principles of conservatism throughout the United States. And he spends an awful lot of time reading and thinking, and so he has become something of a young intellectual that people look to process some information that just is challenging for most people to really ingest on a regular basis. I actually really enjoyed, we'll talk about it in a little bit, his comment about reading 2 hours a day. Like, dude, this guy's got more time than I do, or, you know, that's his job. So
that's true.
That's his job, exactly.
Yeah, he's an impressive young man. What is he, 28 or something?
About that.
Okay. And I think I first saw him maybe I probably saw him in 2016 at the Trump RNC, whatever. And then I think I saw him again in 18 or 19. But he really struck me as like, wow, he's got it together and he's so articulate. And you had mentioned that you've watched him over the years and how he has progressed so significantly.
Oh, he's definitely matured in his thinking and his reasoning, and he's moving in a more conservative direction. It's interesting to see how he's progressing and just kind of watch that. And I also, from like my own technical standpoint, enjoyed watching because sometimes in politics, and you know this as a former candidate and a future candidate, you tire of your own message first, right? So you may get used to saying something and feel like you've already said it, and therefore assume everyone's already heard it. And Charlie Kirk doesn't do that. He actually uses all of those podcasts as an opportunity to reframe and further expand and explore his topics so that it's each of them do kind of build along a similar track. So it was actually really interesting following him very closely for a small bit of time just to see how he did that. It was just a technical thing.
You know, just a small tangent. That's a really interesting point. I struggled being on the campaign trail and not wanting to give the stump speech, which is just repetition, which makes it seem less genuine in my eyes. So when you were with me on a lot of it, I struggled because, and there was like, well, Rick, don't worry about it. You're at a new district. These people haven't heard it. And I'm like, no, but the candidates, the statewide candidates, already heard me say this. I don't want to say it again because it seems that was a struggle for me, and I guess that's just
use it as an opportunity to build and explore further, and you can still talk about those same topics and just expand.
Yes, I like your homeschool teaching coming into play here, and I appreciate it, and I always can take good constructive instruction from you.
So one of the things that Kirk was particularly critical of in his speeches and his writings this week was Republicans who aren't genuinely Republican or don't really reflect their voter base. So I have a couple clips that talk about that.
One of the topics that came across was, why is it that Republican governors and Republican leaders are not honoring their commitment to their voters? I did not know that there was a bill that was on his desk that was a very simple bill to protect female sports. It's that simple. Saying that if you are a man who all of a sudden has a gender change, you are not allowed to compete in female sports. Well, late last evening, as soon as I had left the state of North Dakota and our event had ended and the potential for national criticism might have passed, Governor Burgum vetoed that bill. The governor of North Dakota has made a public signal to all of you that he does not believe that women's sports are worthy of protection. Governor Burgum has basically said he does not think men and women exist. It's merely a construct. That's the message he's sending to all of you.
So, yeah, he went after Burgum for that veto.
He did, absolutely. In his Twitter, he actually called him out and said that he shouldn't even be a Republican.
I saw that and I reposted it because I thought that was very, very to the point, clear cut, and a message to the voters of North Dakota.
For sure.
That's awesome. You have another clip?
I do. So this is where he talks about the legislature and also the governor again.
But there's something a lot deeper going on here that everyone is missing. The state legislatures keep on putting these bills on these governors' desks. You see, the state legislatures are the closest to their voters. These state legislatures they're not just cooking these things up and they're failing in committee. They are enthusiastically getting voted on. In fact, in the North Dakota State Legislature House, this passed 69-25. In the House of Representatives, or the State House, I should say, House Bill 1298 in North Dakota. So the State Legislative House, they're listening to their constituents. They're responding to them. The state Senate passed it 27-20. But Governor Burgum is deciding that the 69 members of the House who represent their voters and the 27 members of the Senate, that he knows better than them. Governor Burgum is just the latest in this trend of corporate Republicans who are perfectly fine witnessing and overseeing the moral decline of America as long as they keep on getting invited to cocktail parties with Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates. Governor Burgum is not a Republican. Asa Hutchinson is not a Republican. These are corporate lobbyists that are indifferent to the most important issues of our time, such as what is a man and what is a woman.
Love it. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
right?
And he doesn't even know the half of it, but
No.
he's spot on.
Yep.
That our governor is a corporatist.
Yep, absolutely.
He's a technocrat. He's an autocrat. And he's not a Republican. I mean, Charlie Kirk, wow.
Or a corporatist in a Republican suit.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and there's a lot of those. And unfortunately, our governor is one. So I was a little surprised, too, because, you know, the veto for the transgender and protection of women's sports veto was right along with the veto for statewide mask mandates.
Yes.
And so I was surprised Charlie didn't say anything about that because...
He actually did. There's so much that he said,
he did
to be
talk about
honest
that
with
too?
you. He was glad that had passed
Yeah.
and saw that he had vetoed that, but he really latched on to what he considers to be a family value or conservative
Sure.
value related to this women and girls in sports issue. And that lit a fire under him. He is gravely concerned about that issue in particular as an example of how governors are running roughshod over their parties and over their legislatures.
Yeah. Well, we've got a lot more to talk about with Charlie Kirk, but you have a couple of pictures from the show on Monday, right?
I do.
Can we flip those up?
My good friend Jan took a few of these. She was sitting up nice and close.
Yeah.
Visiting with Chris Berg. He took questions from the audience. He had a little presentation that he gave at the beginning, very dynamic speaker, and he graciously agreed to answer questions and did a wonderful job, honestly, of impromptu. I think he'd do well with your off-the-cuff kind of segment.
Yes. Oh, absolutely, he would. It was a great show, and I just have only positive things to say. And Chris Berg did a good job moderating. Ann made a comment after we left that Charlie made it very easy on Chris to be a moderator because all you do is just like open the gate and bam, Charlie's out.
Yep, pretty much.
So, but yeah, it was a great show. All right, folks, we're going to be back with another segment. We're going to be talking about some of the, philosophical points that Charlie brought up in his presentation. We'll go over those. Hang with us. We'll be back shortly.
When you can't find answers to your recurring health challenges, it can feel like your health and your future are being held hostage. The Wellness Way is a network of health restoration clinics that think and act differently to solve the health challenges others can't. Here, we disrupt the standard approach to care through a combination of testing, individual plans, and one-on-one guidance, putting your health and your future where they belong, in your own hands.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Prairie Patriot Firearms and Training is the region's most complete gun and training center. 5-lane indoor range, a gun shop, and a certified training facility. Firearms training courses are offered daily for new, intermediate, and advanced shooters. If you're not comfortable in a classroom setting, Prairie Patriot offers one-on-one private lessons, from basic self-defense training to concealed weapons testing, along with a full line of guns, ammunition, holsters, and concealment clothing. Prairie Patriot, 3930 Memorial Highway, prairiepatriot.com.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Arrow Service Team does it all.
Every great pizza has a secret. At New York To Go, that secret lies in our perfectly recreated New York water, the key ingredient to making our signature New York style pizza. We also feature Heroes with the region's only Hero meat spit, plus Nathan's hot dogs, calzones, and our delicious jumbo buffalo wings. Try a 14-inch or our special giant 20-inch pizza tonight. You gotta know how to fold them if you want to hold them. New York To Go. We deliver for you.
It's every American's right to bear arms. At Mandan Sporting Goods, we're here to help you support your Second Amendment rights, which reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Whether you're looking for a pistol for personal defense or collector gun, we have the staff to help you. We also have the area's largest inventory of ammo and reloading supplies.
Mandan Sporting Goods, the area's local gun and ammo specialists.
Welcome back. It's No Apologies on Beck, your after-hours oasis of sanity. I'm your host, Rick Becker. Co-host tonight, Andrea Toman from Ladies of Another View.
That's correct.
Yes. All right, so we're talking about Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point. Young guy, extremely articulate, intelligent, thoughtful. And he was in Bismarck on Monday. Mm-hmm. We attended the show. It was fabulous. We've been talking about that, showed a couple pictures. For this segment, we're just going to be talking about some of the points he brought up in his presentation and his take and what our thoughts are. And you've got a couple of those thoughts ready to go.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So one of the main points that he made was the necessity to become more self-reliant as a conservative movement. And in saying that, he gave several examples of us going out and starting our own businesses rather than worrying about whether or not some liberal corporation is going to ever come over to our side or at least remain neutral. Skip that problem and start your own. And he gave all kinds of examples. He said, start your own coffee shop, start your own waste management, start your own airline. The airline one kind of threw me off, I'll admit, because most of us, we start businesses like one as a consulting thing. Then the next step up from there, you start a business where you can hire others, but you're really probably, south of 100 probably, most people, when they start businesses. So I'm trying to wrap my brain around this idea of let's start something big, like an airline with like thousands of employees. But and some of that feels like youthful ambition, and he is young, so, give him some credit there. But we do need to make it so that we don't depend on these other people to behave the way we want them to. We do.
Yep. And his point within that is to when we're feeling like we're against the machine with these huge conglomerates, that the answer actually is available to us, and that is to start something, be part of something, keep things local.
Sure.
By keeping it more local, we have more control, and we help enable the success of those people that have the same best interests of the state and the country.
Absolutely.
And I couldn't agree more on that. He did talk about some stuff with free trade, which I disagreed with. Possibly the only aspect of his presentation I disagreed with. I still like free trade because it's all about choice.
Sure.
So allow the free trade, encourage the choice to be local. But yes, so and he made a very interesting comment, kind of almost a soundbite for when it comes to abortion.
Yes. So he was answering a young man who is looking for an example of how to respond to the pro-choice debate and as a pro-lifer. And this is just a side note. I think that we do our young people a disservice by not allowing that to be a topic in some of the extracurriculars that high school students participate in. You can't use abortion as a topic. So like if you're in student debate, Congress, all these different things, they actually put that on the ban list of topics. And I realize that they probably feel like it's talked about ad nauseum, but this goes back to my earlier comment about you tire of your own message first. And if you're the teacher or the facilitator or whatever, you feel like you've heard these arguments 100 times, but these kids are still learning how to make that argument. Another side note, there is an essay writing contest for high schoolers that's open through the first part of May, I believe, for the pro-life argument. So anyway, Charlie Kirk gave a very succinct response to this gentleman who was looking for how to answer this, the opposition. And he simply stated, it's not your DNA, so it's not your choice.
Yep. And that's so succinct that's why it's so good.
Exactly.
Because it encapsulates my entire argument, which is more of a libertarian philosophy. You know, government's job is to protect life, liberty, property.
Yep.
Okay, that's a life until you can prove to me it's not. And that's where, back years ago when I first started getting into politics, I had to work through that in my head. It's not my job to prove when it begins. It's because we can assume it begins when you know, at conception, whatever we determine conception. Don't want to go down in the rabbit hole now, but but if you're saying it doesn't, it's up to you to tell me when it starts and prove it to me. Because all these areas where allegedly it starts, when we're supposed to know at 6 weeks or 8 weeks, or heartbeat or brain waves or whatever, or viability, these are all moving targets. And life can't be a moving target. It has to be something. So it's incumbent upon the person who's pro-choice to say, no, here's when life starts. It's okay before this. It's not okay after that. Until that point, I must take the approach that government's job is to protect life.
Yep.
And that's it. So the DNA thing is a wonderful counter to my body, my choice. No.
It's not your body. It's not your DNA. It's not your choice.
Do what you want with your body. Don't do what you want with someone else's body, no matter how tiny that body is.
Exactly. No matter how tiny.
You know, it's not the person's fault. It's not the pregnant person's fault.
No.
But it's nobody's fault on how we were created. Yes, it's unfortunate that you are the host to creating a new human being. And men aren't. That's the way it is. We can't change that. You have to accept some things. And so you're a host to another individual, and that's Charlie's point, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And so Charlie was so articulate, and that actually, he gave us the reason, and he spends about 2 hours a day reading or listening to podcasts and just ingesting information, and you can see that reflected in the work that he does. It feels ambitious. Do you spend a lot of time reading or listening to podcasts?
I spend a lot of time punishing myself for not reading more.
Oh, no.
No. So, like, if I'm on vacation or I've got downtime, I definitely will put in 2 hours a day reading.
Sure.
I love it. More than that. And I find, okay, you know, this week I'm gonna read a lot more. I've got this book I want to read. And the problem is, we're so busy. I get to a point, finally, I get home at night at whatever, 8 o'clock at night or something, and I just need my brain to shut down. And it'd be one thing if I read fiction, right? Okay, that's the same thing as watching stuff on TV.
Yeah.
Because the stuff I read is that I enjoy reading is more in depth, and I can't turn my brain off. And when I get home, so I would love to more. I do whenever I've got my brain is a little bit more relaxed.
You might enjoy listening to Charlie Kirk's podcast.
Yes, absolutely. Hey, one other thing. So what's with this essay?
Yes, it's the Mackenzie County Right to Life. They have I think it's not a long 500-word essay.
Mackenzie County Right to Life. So people could probably just duck it. I always say duck it. I don't say the G word. Duck, go it.
Duck, go it.
Okay, folks, hang with us. We are going to be back. We've got some interesting mailbag items for you next.
We're the ladies of Another View, bringing you a fresh view on local issues.
And different perspectives you won't get on the mainstream media. Watch us weekday afternoons at 4:30 Central Time on Beck News and at beck.news.
When you're buying windows, make sure you're comparing apples to apples. Hi, I'm Jesse with the Window Source. We only sell you the best windows and doors for the best price. Call the Window Source. Just because you pay less doesn't mean you get less.
If you don't know what's going on in education in this country, then you don't know what's going to happen in the future of this country. And it's important. I'm Dr. Duke.
And I'm Katie.
Watch the Dr. Duke Show weekdays at 4 p.m. Central Time on Beck TV.
Every great pizza has a secret. At New York To Go, that secret lies in our perfectly recreated New York water, the key ingredient to making our signature New York style pizza. We also feature gyros with the region's only gyro meat spit, plus Nathan's hot dogs, calzones, and our delicious jumbo buffalo wings. Try a 14-inch or our special giant 20-inch pizza tonight. You gotta know how to fold them if you want to hold them. New York To Go. We deliver for you.
It's every American's right to bear arms. At Mandan Sporting Goods, we're here to help you support your Second Amendment rights, which reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Whether you're looking for a pistol for personal defense or collector gun, we have the staff to help you. We also have the area's largest inventory of ammo and reloading supplies.
Mandan Sporting Goods, the area's local gun and ammo specialists.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. I started by using the world's best cotton called Giza. It's only grown in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River. It's ultra soft and breathable, but extremely durable. My Giza sheets also include full 21-inch wide pillowcases that will fit over any pillow and deep pocket sheets that will fit over any mattress. The first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. Giza Dream Sheets are available in a variety of colors. Use your promo code, and for a limited time, when you buy one set of sheets, you'll get another set absolutely free.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com.
Welcome back, folks. No apologies on Beck. It's time for mailbag. We've got a couple interesting ones. And I'm pulling in comments from a Facebook Live type thing I did too.
Yes.
Because it's interesting.
Well, your Facebook Live was the veto overrides, right?
Well, no. I did a Facebook Live on the veto overrides yesterday, but the day before I did a Facebook Live that was just about the corporate welfare and cronyism. So it's that Facebook Live.
Oh, okay.
Who knows? If we get a lot of good comments, maybe I'll do that. Facebook Live, we'll do that on Monday. All right, so the first one up, let's pull it up. We always ask questions on No Apologies with Becker, and this question says, does the spending on corporate welfare make you angry? Or are you copacetic because it's just par for the course? And some of the comments are very angry. It's like legislators don't have to pay taxes, the same taxes they impose on others. Oh, wait. Maybe some of them are benefiting from said corporate welfare. Well, that's probably always a safe bet.
Yeah, the next one says, par for the course, getting close to losing all hope. There are so many things messed up anymore that it seems daunting to even discuss where to start. This actually concerns me. There's a lot of people that are just, you get down this path of thinking that things are so bad and they swing back. And depending on your perspective, you may not be able to see when things are starting to shift.
Yep. Yeah, it's easy to get into the defeatist trap, and you have to just always hold out hope, no doubt about it. So it goes on. No surprise when the ties to Bill Gates are involved. There's a lot of concern about the Bill Gates involvement with Governor Burgum. It's getting that I look around myself and starting to wonder if I am the one who has lost my mind. Insane is now sane, I guess. I just don't get what people are thinking. When and where, why would anyone ever believe that Bill Gates has anything to do with the North Dakota legislature? See, so someone's countering.
They maybe don't know that he makes frequent trips to the state of North Dakota. Bill Gates does spend time here.
He does. He does indeed. Someone else says, furious. They call that these sound investments. The Jamestown commissioners wouldn't fund a pool, so Uncle Chet decided to step up and have the North Dakota taxpayers fund it. Well, okay.
Well, they're putting in that amusement park in Jamestown, right? Didn't the legislature buy that thing?
Well,
Or buy
$5
the
million
plan?
we committed as long as they, well, and it's going to be on state-owned land, and they're going to get a $65 million loan from the state, and then the state's going to give them $5 million.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That'll be fine.
It sounds like a
Winner.
win-win, or maybe a win-lose, depending on how you look
Or
at it.
lose-lose.
I would like all legislators who voted for that to pay my taxes next year. I like that idea. That's a great idea. And then lastly, we'll finish this little part up with, all I can say is that it seems our legislature rushed into decisions and didn't take the time to do research or even pay attention to the real data that was presented to them regarding an array of matters. Well, always a possibility, but I can tell you that the corporate welfare was nicely researched by some legislators. No doubt about it.
But you know, some and all are not the same.
No, they're not. They're not.
I have a friend who has this great poster with all these pictures of all these books on the, up on his wall, and it's this idea that somebody asked him, have you read all these books? And he responded with, some, twice.
That's a good answer. Okay, next up is that Facebook post. Let's pull that up. This is the one I did regarding corporate welfare. I was particularly happy with my title. Today was a crap sandwich, and you, my friends, are forced to eat it. It got a lot of good views, and people have responded. Thank you for that. I was a little concerned about your blood pressure there for a minute. If I had trouble with mine, it would be dangerously high today after the afternoon session. Yeah, there was a lot. There was a lot. Oh, and this one references back to Charlie Kirk. We are going to win. That's how Charlie ended, basically, his presentation, right?
And that we are going to win is a promise. It's not a projection. It's not it's nothing more than writing down a goal and committing to it. So writing that down, we are going to win, is a promise to yourself to do the work, to put in the efforts, to show up so that we do win.
Right, and it's winning the war. It's not winning every single battle.
You won't.
When you lose that battle, because you'll lose many,
Yep.
you don't quit, because you're still fighting to win the
Absolutely.
war. Someone says, our opinions no longer matter. That was made clear today. I am so pissed right now I can't even. And my blood pressure continues to rise with every word you have to say. Well, I'm sorry for causing you ill health, but you have good reason. So they call it investment and make it seem like a good thing. What a crock of crap. And they do. We legislators all around the country use the term investment when what we mean is spend.
Yes.
And then someone is being sarcastic, so fiscally conservative, with a lot of vomit faces. And someone says, oh my God, they counted you as a tourist. So what they're referencing there is we're looking at $6.9 to $7 million going to the Department of Tourism.
Yep.
For making ads all around the country. And what I let the viewers know is that this money is being thrown down a hole. They say they've got amazing returns for every dollar we spend on tourism advertising. But what they use to determine that return on investment is just made up garbage. And the example I gave is when I went to Fargo and stayed overnight in the hotel, they count that as a visit and suggest that it's the spending of the dollars for tourism advertising that caused me to go to Fargo and stay overnight in the hotel. It's all garbage. All right, next graphic, I think we've got one or two more, right? Let's see here. I swear they are piping nitrous oxide through the air ducts at the Capitol. I don't think it's nitrous oxide because I would be laughing more instead of crying. I think that's certainly true. Watched the live video, texted my legislators while it was happening. The rationale for spending money should be a wake-up call to all citizens. Yes, yes, it should. Hence, the reason we are putting this message up once again.
Yeah.
Folks, take heed, take heed, take heed.
Democrat Doug and others put an R by their name, but they are liberal Democrats invading our state. Charlie Kirk would agree with you.
Charlie Kirk absolutely has agreed with you. I am shocked at how North Dakota is not listening to the people. Someone says, don't be shocked, that's the norm. Remember when we voted on expanding the Civic Center and almost everyone voted no?
I remember.
Yes, indeed. So yeah, it happens both state level and local level. And the same way with our quote-unquote Republican governor gave a bunch of money to the Roosevelt Library after the people said no. And well, that's certainly true, but it took the legislator to agree with the governor. So there is plenty of blame to go around. And then someone says, I'm starting to think our state has gone totally Democrat. Aren't we a red state, or am I misinformed? Well, the problem is that the Republican Party has become such a huge tent that we cover. We talked with Josh Boucher. We cover so much of the political spectrum and still say that it's Republican, that it's weakened the message so much.
Sure.
I always go back to Ronald Reagan's 1975 speech that the Republican Party needs to be a party that carries a banner of bold colors, not pale pastels. And at this point in time, we have a banner of very, very pale pastels.
It's watered down as you can get.
It is indeed. All right, next up, final segment. Andrea is going to throw me some questions on Off the Cuff. Stick around and see how brutal she is.
When you can't find answers to your recurring health challenges, it can feel like your health and your future are being held hostage. The Wellness Way is a network of health restoration clinics that think and act differently to solve the health challenges others can't. Here, we disrupt the standard approach to care through a combination of testing, individual plans, and one-on-one guidance, putting your health and your future where they belong, in your own hands.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all. Spas, etc. Yeah.
You've come to know and trust us for over 18 years with the largest selection and showroom in Western North Dakota for our beautiful Sundance spas. Plus, you can pick out your next home experience with our selection of pool tables, shuffleboards, and fun accessories.
Spas, etc. Your relaxation destination on Main and Bismarck.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Every great pizza has a secret. At New York To Go, that secret lies in our perfectly recreated New York water, the key ingredient to making our signature New York style pizza. We also feature gyros with the region's only gyro meat spit, plus Nathan's hot dogs, calzones, and our delicious jumbo buffalo wings. Try a 14-inch or our special giant 20-inch pizza tonight. You gotta know how to fold them if you want to hold them. New York To Go, we deliver for you.
It's every American's right to bear arms. At Mandan Sporting Goods, we're here to help you support your Second Amendment rights, which reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Whether you're looking for a pistol for personal defense or collector gun, we have the staff to help you. We also have the area's largest inventory of ammo and reloading supplies.
Mandan Sporting Goods, the area's local gun and ammo specialists.
Hey folks, it's No Apologies on Beck. You made it. It's Friday night. It's the final segment. In just a few minutes, you can go out on the town, but not quite yet. We've got Off the Cuff. Andrea's going to throw some questions to me. I don't know if you've ever seen the show before, but hopefully you know what to do. I don't know.
I know what to do.
I don't know.
He's concerned. Okay, so I am inviting Rick into my homeschool classroom because my kids have had some discussions recently around a couple topics that I think you will find interesting.
Okay.
So just for a little bit of background, in the late 1800s, Europe was industrializing as a nation. They were maturing. They were building out all these manufacturing plants and facilities, and they were desperately in need of resources and raw materials. So they turned to the African continent as a source for all of these resources and raw materials. And in the Berlin Conference of 1884 through 85, they met together and started drawing lines on the map to divide Africa into all of these different countries so that they could each claim responsibility or ownership over each of these different parts of Africa. So you have everybody gets a little piece of the pie, right? So, and Germany had quite a few sizable chunks. Portugal had a few. Dutch had South Africa. Great Britain, all these different pieces that they'd subdivided and then said, okay, well, this is you, this is you. And with that, the lines that they drew were incredibly arbitrary, right? And based on their own interests, based on what resources they knew were available in those regions, with very little thought to the people who lived in the continent of Africa and within those countries that they are newly forming with their imaginary lines, right? So they're drawing these lines and assigning these different pieces of the continent to the different countries in Europe. And in doing so, they created a lot of arbitrary groups. They roped multiple countries, actually, with over 100 different ethnic groups that were then consolidated or made into a country because of the way Europe divided it in the Berlin Conference, right? There was some good that happened that came out of that. There's an increase in trade. There's an increase in mission work throughout the continent of Africa. But that combination of diverse ethnic groups also led to a lot of civil war, a lot of conflict. And so part of my question really is, do we still see consequences of that European influence in Africa today?
Well, Mrs. Toman, do we still see? Well, I think that we do in a lot of ways, and it's been throughout the history of the imperial countries.
Absolutely.
And as you said, not all of it is bad.
Right.
You know, we brought in some more concepts of free markets and things like that. We maybe increased standard of living. However, to be an imperial country means to not treat other people or peoples like equals, not to respect their sovereignty as individuals, groups of individuals, or countries. And by creating these false lines, we've set up, instead of the natural order, if you will, of people being able to congregate according to how they will, we force them together. We sort of subdue hostilities overtly, allowing them to fester under the surface, but still forcing these false geopolitical boundaries. And so I think that what we've got is civil war after civil war after civil war in the African, certainly the African subcontinent. And as well as probably in a lot of places a general animosity for the European or Western civilization sort of ethic, with good reason.
Right.
So if, and I don't know if you want to go down this area, but if we had instead, when I say we, if these countries had instead of being imperial said, wow, what vast resources, how can we tap into this? Instead of conquering, how can we make it a win-win? And you could set up trade routes and deals, and you can advise that if you trade with us, we will make sure, so we're England, let's say, we'll make sure that Portugal doesn't come in and try and conquer you. We'll protect you because you're going to be our ally, and that's what we do. I think that the prosperity would be just as much or very likely much more than going in and conquering and forcing, without having all of the unintended consequences that I think are going to be seen for still generations and generations.
For sure. And
what did I miss?
Well, the other thing that I think of is looking at those countries in Africa who essentially, because their resources are all being exported, don't have the resources then to industrialize within their own countries, to build the manufacturing facilities and to build those things that they do need locally. They are exporting resources and raw materials and then turning around and re-importing goods from other countries.
Well, yeah, that's very true, because that whole paradigm from the very beginning isn't about what's mutually beneficial.
Right.
It's benefiting one, and so to extract resources in a format which the people would not have devised and implemented themselves is not going to be beneficial. So, yeah, very interesting. So what's the solution?
Well, a great many of them have, I think almost all of them, have become independent nations. So, but they're still dealing with civil conflict. They're still dealing with political turnover, some situations that are kind of similar to what's happening in Burma, with a whole new government coming in and saying, well, now we're in charge. And I think that back and forth is going to continue for some time.
Yeah. Oh, well, I definitely, for generations to come. All right, you have one more question, you said, and we only have a minute. Is it should we talk a little more about Africa, or should we hit your question?
Let's talk more about Africa.
Okay, it's too deep. The other one's too big.
Yeah, well.
All right, so I think the same thing holds true for the Middle East.
Yeah.
Israel was carved out of this, and
Indeed.
this, right? By Nazis and by Britain, and by that they were concerned about oil, and then they're like, oh yeah, nobody wants the Jews in their own country, so let's just like make a country because we're God. And so it's the same.
Drawing another line.
It's right. It's the same mentality, and it's well. I mean, I don't know. I mean, to me, it seems like we haven't learned, because what are we looking at with new Middle East policies? Right, we are looking at dividing Iraq and saying, oh, we're going to make 3 countries because we know best. It hasn't changed, and it's the I guess that false sense of superiority that elected people tend to have of nations. And I don't know. It would be good to get away from that. I don't know if we ever will. Maybe it's human nature.
Got work to do.
All right, folks. Thanks for joining us, Andrea. Thanks so much. Appreciate it, folks. Next up is No Filter with Debbie. Catch us Monday. Bye bye.